Component.Studio 3 is a powerful design tool for creating board game components. It automates the tedious task of formatting individual cards, tiles, chits, and other game components, saving you hours of time even for simple designs. Follow along and I'll give you a tour of the system. By the end of this video, you'll be able to navigate through Component.Studio 3 and its key functions. Up on the bar in the top, you're going to see 4 options. These include starters, which are base designs that you use as a starting point for your own creations, games, which is where you'll probably spend most of your time creating your own designs, learn, where you can find different links to documentation, communities, and videos, and ideas, where you'll submit your own ideas for consideration to be added to the site. Let's dive into each of these areas for more details, beginning with starters. Starters are pre-created templates that you can use as a baseline for your own designs. There's a handful of default ones already in Component.Studio 3, but you'll also have the ability to create your own starters here or share them with the community. To use a starter, select the one you want to use and click Use this starter. This is creating a new game that you can use as the starting point for your own design. We'll leave the default name and click Start Clone. We'll come back to designs and games later. For now, let's return to starters. You can search the existing starters by entering keywords here. You can choose what components you want to see starters for. Right now, only poker decks are available, but more will be added. Then you can choose a sorting method, whether it's newest, most cloned, or alphabetical. Most cloned is a great way to see which ones are popular with the community. Using starters is an excellent way to jumpstart your own designs without wasting too much time on getting a template started. Now, let's look at your own creations. Let's head to the Games tab. In the Games library, you're going to see a list of all the games you have in Component.Studio 3. You can search your existing games, or you can organize them by collections. You might use collections to sort them into project stage. For example, something like active, on hold, and published. Or you might use them to sort your games by genre. For example, deck builder or trick taker. Selecting one of these will reduce the games that display to ones belonging to that collection. If you have archived games, you can click Hide Archive to temporarily remove them from this list. Import Game will bring in a game design that you previously exported, and New Game will start a new game from scratch. Type the game name and create. Now, there's nothing in this design, so I'm going to jump over to one that I've already started. Navigating back to the Games tab, you can choose a design from the list. Note that when you're looking at a specific design, you can see the status under the Actions column. You can choose Edit, Clone, Export, or Delete. Click the title on the left to open the game design. When you open your game, it shows the Designs tab to begin with. A design is an individual component for the game. So in this example, I have 2 poker card decks, I have a small quad-fold map, and a medium booklet. Each of these is an individual design. You'll also notice there's a Dataset tab. Datasets are spreadsheets that contain the information for your game. We'll dig more into those later, but it's important to know that your designs are linked each to a specific dataset that contains the information for that design. As you're looking at the Designs tab, you'll see all your designs appear in this list. You'll see their component type, the dataset they're tied to, whether they're portrait or landscape, for example, if you have rotated cards, whether or not they have unique backs, and a brief actions menu including open, edit, duplicate, and delete. At the top, you'll see you can add a new design. Click here and you can add the name and select the component type and details for the new design. This button is the Restore button. This lets you restore recently deleted items. Now, let's look at the creature cards design. This designer is where you're going to spend the majority of your time in Component.Studio. The card displaying aligns with a specific row from the associated dataset. When we open this dropdown, we notice all these entries here. These refer to different rows in the dataset that powers this design. I can either select something from this list to jump to that row, or I can push the left and right arrows to navigate to them one at a time. The face and back buttons control which side of the card I'm looking on. If you want to recalculate the information in your design, you can click this button to force that recalculation. Click the scale dropdown to choose how big you want the preview of your component on the left to be. You can choose whether or not you want the guides to show over the component. These are going to be the cut lines and safe zones for printing. In addition, you can open this dropdown to see various colorblind modes or a simulated adjustment of what your card's colors may come out like when they're printed. On the right, you have an inputs menu with several options. You can jump to the data set in a new tab, edit the specific row that's currently showing. This lets you edit your data set without navigating to the dataset screen. You can re-pull an import from Google Sheets if you manage your data in Google Sheets rather than Component.Studio. You can adjust styles, images, and game variables. There's even a screen color picker to get the hex code of something displaying on your screen. Or you can edit the properties of your design. This includes things like component type and name that you set up when you originally created the design. The Export tab lets you choose if you want to export the current viewed component. This includes any bleed. The Export Preview will export this component without any of the bleed zones. Bulk Export lets you choose any or all items from this dataset and design to export. You can select those here and then choose what export format you want. This could be a zip file of individual images, a print and play file in a PDF. You could export straight to the Game Crafter for printing, or export to a cache for Tabletop Simulator. You can open up any of these export formats to change the specific details concerning that type of export. Whenever you see this help button, you can click it to navigate directly to the Component.Studio help. This is where you can find useful documentation to learn how to use all parts of the system. Let's navigate back. In the designer here, you're going to be able to add individual layers and groups. In this example, I have 3 groups with a lot of layers each. This is a particularly robust design. Your designs don't have to be this complicated. You can add all sorts of different layers here. Add one with the Add Layer Plus button. Layers can be text, a box, an image, a specific image, a note, an orb, a polygon, a QR code, or you can add a table. If you'd like to add a new layer group instead of a specific layer, click the big Add Layer Group button. Note that you can rearrange groups and layers by dragging and dropping them in the interface. Now, let's take a quick look at datasets. You can find the Designs dataset under the Inputs menu, or you can find it in the Datasets tab on the Game screen. In this case, we are looking at creature cards. I already have it open here. Datasets work like a full functioning spreadsheet. You can edit and maintain all the data you need for your game here. Let's quick switch over to a simpler design so you can see how the two are related. On the left, I have my design, and on the right, I have my dataset. Note that all the details on my card, like my title, my suit, the numbers, and even the color of my card are going to change as I click through rows in this dataset. What displays for each card is based on the rows in that dataset. This way, you can design a card or component once and have all the information for that type of card switch out automatically based on your spreadsheet. You can even do this performing different calculations or swapping out images and colors and more. In the dataset, some things to look at are whether or not you want to have enumerations on. You can choose that using this dropdown. You can force the system to recalculate any calculations in the spreadsheet. You can jump to a design that's using this dataset, rename the dataset, adjust dataset variables, add images, adjust the styles, and manage game-specific variables. Under Import, you have options of importing a CSV, importing from Google Sheets, jumping directly to the Google Sheet that this dataset is created from, re-importing that Google Sheet with a single click, or you can import a folder of images to automatically create your dataset. And then finally, you can export your dataset as a CSV. Click the Cells button to add rows and columns. You can add multiple rows at a time, and you can perform find and replace functions as needed. Heading back to the game, on the left, you're going to find options for controlling the settings of the game, controlling what images are part of the game, managing specific variables, fonts, styles. Caches contain any web-hosted images for programs to use, for example, Tabletop Simulator. And you can choose collaborators if you have other designers you want to work together on. All right, so now we've covered starters and games. Let's take a quick look at Learn. Here we have the documentation site. For Component.Studio, you can either search the knowledge base or select from the menu. Then there are the communities, like the GameCrafter Discord, a Component.Studio Facebook group, and a Reddit, with active communities who are more than interested in helping you. And finally, you can go to the Component.Studio YouTube page, which is likely where you're viewing this video. Under Ideas, we're really interested in wanting to know how you want to use Component.Studio. So if there's an improvement that you have for the site, please come by and submit an idea. You'll see existing ideas down below, and you'll get an idea of how much the community is interested in a particular idea. Then finally, up in the right-hand corner, you'll see your profile information. Here you can edit your profile details, manage your security, and alter your subscription. And that's your system tour of Component.Studio 3. Hopefully it was helpful. Again, if you have any questions, please come find us on one of the social medias, and we'll gladly help you on your design journey. This has been Andrew Voigt with Component.Studio 3. Now get out there and go make some great games.